Does the narcissist think about you? My answer to that question may actually surprise a lot of you. Because I would say yes, they do think about you. And you might say, what if they discarded me? What if it looks like they've moved on and they're with someone else? Do they still think about me then? Yes, they still think about you then. And that is why they will often hoover you. You may not have talked to them for a while, but then here they come. They're blowing up your phone. They're sliding in your DMs. And that's how you know they were thinking about you. If they weren't, then how could they hoover you? But they think of us in a very different way to how we might think about our past relationship partners. Narcissists see us as objects. They don't think of us as separate individual people with our own wants, needs, desires, goals, and dreams. They don't think of us like that. We're just objects that exist to serve them. So when they're thinking about coming back, they're thinking about what can you do for them? What can you give to them? How are you going to make them feel better? That's what they're thinking about when they think about you, or at least when they're considering a hoover. But they'll also think about you in a way where they're just complaining about you inside their heads. They're just reaffirming these false beliefs that they already have about you. About how you're no good, about how you never did anything good for them, about you caused all of these problems. They play the victim inside their heads. They have to tell themselves these stories so that they can feel better about themselves. So yeah, they're thinking about you in that way too. About how bad and wrong you were meant to be. But of course, deep down, they know you're not. I mean, the reason why they stayed with you for so long is because it was benefiting them. They were having a good time. They had a good ride with you. That's why they stayed with you for so long. Because they were getting something out of it. Your attention, your validation, your money, a place to stay, all of these things. So deep down, they know that you're really not that bad at all. And actually, you were good for them. And that is why many of them end up hoovering you. And they'll come back and complain, and everything will go back to normal. But sometimes you just got to stop and think, why did you come back then? Because it's all a lie. It's all a scam. Everything they tell you is a lie. But they don't think of you in a significant way. Not as a separate person. Not as someone who is anything meaningful to them. They don't think about people in that way. It's all about what you have. What you're going to give to them. That's how they think of you. But you may be glad to know that if you treated them well, if you were a good source of supply to them, and You gave them a place to stay, you gave them money, you gave them constant attention, you spent all of your time with them, then yeah, they're going to be thinking about you and they're going to feel like they lost something. And they may even feel regret to some extent. They feel pain just like everyone else. No one wants to lose something of value. And of course they do feel it. They do feel it when they've lost something good. They know the difference between what is good and what is not good for them. So when they lose you, yes, of course, they will be thinking about you. And they'll be thinking about how things were so good back then. So things were so much easier. And you don't know what they're going through now. But it's most likely a lot worse than what they were complaining about with you. Because we know how they exaggerate things. They want you to think that the situation they had with you was so bad, and now what they've moved on to is so much better. But in reality, it's the other way around. You just got to think about how difficult it is for a normal person to meet someone good. Just think about it in your own life. How you struggle to meet someone good, someone who valued you, someone who would take good care of you. It's not easy. And it's 100 times harder for a narcissist, because they're not just looking for someone like that. They're looking for a fool, a doormat, a punching bag, someone who will do whatever they want. And there aren't many people like that around. But that's what they're looking for, and maybe you were the closest thing to that. And it's very difficult for them to find that again. Especially with all of this information out now on narcissism. People know what to look for. As you know, I've been doing this for over 4.5 years now. I've been putting out these videos since before it was mainstream. It became pretty mainstream probably the last 1 or 2 years. I was doing this 4.5 years ago. Maybe I helped to make it mainstream, who knows? But yeah, this information is out there now. People know what to look for. People know the signs. So it's not going to be so easy for them to find someone like you again. It's not going to be so easy for them at all. So don't think that they can just come into your life and they've done all of these things to you. They've lied to you. They manipulated you. They abused you. They stole from you. They did all of this. And then they can just move on and find someone else, and they're going to be okay. And you're going to be the one who's left behind suffering and struggling. It never works out like that. I've seen these situations so many times. I've had hundreds of clients over the last 4 years. So I can tell you, I already know how things end up for them. I already know their future. I know how it goes. And I'm sure many of us, that's one of the motivating factors for why we don't want to become like them. Because we all know how they end up in the end. And once you've had such a consistent pattern of behavior over a long period of time, you can't just wake up one day and decide not to do that anymore. Then you're stuck like that for the rest of your life. And that is their unfortunate fate in the end. Is that even though they may start to realize who and what they are, there's really nothing they can do about it. They just have to accept it. And they just have to find some fool who's willing to take care of them. But even then, they know it's not going to last. Whatever they get involved with, they always see it as something temporary. Just as it was with you, that's why they could never be vulnerable. They could never be intimate. They never wanted to invest anything into the relationship. Despite how loyal and committed you were to them, despite everything that you invested into them, they knew it was temporary. They knew it was going to end at some point. Maybe you'd figure them out and you'd want nothing to do with them. Or even if you were this perfect person who would stay loyal to them and do whatever they want no matter what, it doesn't matter because they would get bored of that anyway. So you see, they always knew. They knew before they even met you. They already knew that whoever they were going to meet next, it was going to have an end. They already knew that. So of course, they're not going to think of you in any other way when it's all over. When they first met you, they saw you as an object. And when it ends, that's how they think of you. That's the only way they can think of anyone. And it's sad, but this is just how it is. There are people walking on this earth who see everyone as pawns on a chessboard. They see everyone as objects, just tools for them to use. And you will know if someone sees you like that. You will know it. Because it's always one-sided. You're always doing all of the work. You're investing everything you have into them, but there's no reciprocation. There's no equal exchange. And no matter how much you try to open up to them and get them to talk, they just can't be vulnerable. They can't be intimate. They can't have a deep connection with you. No matter how much time you spend with them, it's like you never knew who they were. You never got to know them, even after all of that time. And you feel like they never really took the time to get to know you. You never really sat down and had a proper conversation with them. And it just felt so strange for you because you couldn't understand why. You couldn't understand why couldn't things just be normal? Why did it have to be different? Maybe you look around at other people's relationships. You're looking on social media. Or maybe you go out somewhere to eat and you see other people, they can behave normally. They can show affection to each other. And then you just look at your relationship with a narcissist and you think, why couldn't we have something like that? Of course, the reason why is because the person you were dealing with just saw you as an object, a tool. But don't worry about it. I know many of you, you fear that, and the narcissist will lead you to believe this as well, that there's this whole other side to their personality. There's another side to them that you don't know. They're very different when you're not around. They can be everything that you wanted them to be, just not for you, for someone else. That's what they want you to think. That's what every narcissist wants you to think. That they can be everything you wanted them to be, but only with someone else. So whatever you wanted from them, whatever they withheld from you, when it's all over, they give it to someone else. And then you're looking on their social media, or they're sending you pictures and videos, and you see them have that with someone else. And you feel like you've lost out. You feel like you're missing something. But they're just trying to make you jealous. It's all fake. It's just as fake as what it was with you when you first met them. Everything they displayed to you, it was a false impression. It was a facade. It's really no different. They're never going to have anything special with anyone. They're never going to experience true intimacy because they can't be vulnerable. They're never going to have a deep connection. Not just with you, with anyone. It's always going to be fake. And the reason why is because they lack empathy. They're completely self-absorbed. They only care about themselves. They only care about what they want. And from the amount of time that you spent with them, you should know that by now. But just remember how much you cared about them. You do have empathy. And you can take that gift and you can share it with someone else. Someone who shares those same positive traits. Kindness, compassion, generosity. You can find someone like that. You can find someone who loves the way you love. And I think that's what everyone wants. I mean, just imagine that. From the moment you met the narcissist, you poured your heart and soul into them. You gave them everything you had. Just imagine if you could meet someone like that. How amazing would that be? And you can meet someone like that. It will happen for you. It all starts by recognizing how you got involved in this and working your way back, taking a different path, doing things differently. But unfortunately, I was going to say many, but actually it's most people, they never really heal from this. They don't. They stay stuck in the same cycle, meeting the same types of people again and again. And they never really move on. Maybe a lot of them just don't know how to move on. Maybe it's too painful for them to do the work. And yeah, I know what it's like to be alone. I know what it's like to feel lonely. I've had that many times before in my life. But I don't feel that anymore. And it's not just because I've got Nala, but it's also because I got myself. You need to enjoy the time that you spend with yourself. Getting to know yourself. The most important relationship we have in our lives is that relationship with ourselves. That's more important than any relationship we have with anyone else. And that is something that I can go into greater detail in my one-on-one coaching sessions, which you can book from my website, which is narcsurvivor.co.uk. It's really good. I have coached hundreds of people over the last 4 years, including doctors, lawyers, and even some celebrities as well. And yeah, I believe my coaching sessions are very effective. I've learned a lot of things from my research and my own personal experience. And I've got a lot of things that I can share with you, and also things that I can tailor make to your situation. Things that you can't find online, on Google, on YouTube. So yeah, if that interests you, one-on-one coaching with me, Narc Survivor, you can book online now. It's narcsurvivor.co.uk. But yeah, that's it. They do think about you. Just not in the way that you might like, not in the way that you might expect, not in the way that you would think of them. They think of you as an object that either did or did not perform in the way that they would like. All right. Thank you all for joining me, and you all have a good day.